Let's look at the changes to the IGVF portal UI for the month of June 2025. So let's start with version 8.53. We have 2275. That is an internal change. I'm not even sure what that is. 2774, disable link prefetch site-wide. Now this is something you don't actually see, but it's part of our effort to reduce load on our database server. The way our UI framework works is that whatever links appear in the current view automatically do a request to our database server. And sometimes, like on this schema page, that gets a little intense. Just every single line has 1, 2, 3, 4 links multiplied by all these lines, and as you scroll it does even more requests. So we wanted to stop that to reduce the load on the server. So now just about every link on the site does not do this prefetch, and that has made a fair amount of difference in the load on our database server. Alright, 2738 file page quality metrics. We now show quality metrics on our file pages. Now, we don't really, unless you sign in, and I didn't want to sign in on our production server in this video. So I'm going to go to the local server. So all of this data, like you see in this message, well, okay, the message is really saying something else, but the data in this is very contrived just to make some testing cases. So whatever you say, we know it doesn't make any sense. Alright, so let's take a look at some file pages and find ones with quality metrics. And let's see, I know there are some here. Okay, there we go. Unfortunately, there's only one really worth looking at, and it's this one. Hey, come on. Okay, there we go. Yeah, and so now we have a quality metrics panel that shows this MPRA quality metric. And so for each, every file can have multiple quality metrics, and so they'll just keep stacking up inside of a panel here if you have more than one. All right. Let's see. That's an internal change. More efficient searches for bulk object requests. Again, this is an effort to reduce. Well, in this case, it's an effort to reduce load on our database itself, and we did that by just being more specific in what we're searching for in certain requests. It's impossible to really show. Alright, so that is 8.53. Now let's look at 8.54. Display partner labs on institutional certificate pages. Do we have an example of this? Let's look at institutional certificate pages. Oh yes, we absolutely do. So hide and then partner labs. And we have a couple here. So institutional certificates with a partner lab, we now show it on this panel right here. And we link to that lab page. So that is new. Okay, cache indexer state. This is something I can't really show, but I can talk about because it's kind of interesting. This indexer state display, how it used to work is it made a request to our UI server every 5 minutes. In turn, the UI server sent a request to our database server. So that means if we've got 20 people with the browser open to the site, that's 20 requests coming in to the database server, and that's not a huge load, but it's not free either, and it's just not something that scales very well. So the change here is that now the browser updates this display and does a request every 90 seconds which sounds like it's more load than the 5 minutes it used to be. But that's actually only doing these requests to our UI server, which isn't under so much load as our database server. And then our UI server now caches the current indexer state for 1 minute. And so even if we've got 1,000 people with the multiple browser windows open, doing this 90-second poll, the most traffic the database server will see is 1 request per minute. And so that is far more scalable. And so that means if you reload the page, it's not really telling you a whole lot, because it's just doing a request to the UI server, and it might just get a cache state again. So it's usually just fine to let it sit here and update every 90 seconds and just trust that it'll do that. Okay, add content types to the file list views. Oh, right. So if we go to a file view, let's look at alignment files. This is the list view. Here's a report view, list view again. Okay, so now on file pages, we show this content summary. And that's that's the change for this ticket here. Let's see, sample page title update. Oh yes. So on it varied by sample page type, but we made them more consistent. So if we go to this multiplex sample, it shows the accession and then I believe a summary of the sample here. And before this change, we were showing different things on different types of sample pages, and now we've made that more consistent. Quality metric object pages, again, I need to go to this local instance, and even on the local instance we really only have one, but we now show a nicer list view than we used to. We used to show just the accession here, and it'll look a little nicer, I don't know, sometime in the future. And we go to a formatted page instead of a generic formatted page. So now we show the relevant quality metric values, as well as the list of files that this quality metric applies to. All right. Change highlight color for deletion. That's an internal issue that I can't show. Limit date picker past and future dates. Yeah, let's see. I believe we only have it on file sets. Okay, yeah. So release date and creation date. So these, when you click these, it brings up this calendar, so you can select a date range. It used to be you can scroll all the way backward to, I think, 1903 or something, and all the way forward to, the heat death of the universe or something. But now it's pinned to January 2023, and you can't go backward any farther than that, except it looks like you can, which I think is a bug in the date selector package we use. But really, we're still pinned at January 2023. And at the other end, we're pinned to the current date. In this case, June 30th, 2025, plus 90 days. And now we can't scroll forward anymore. So that's just to make it a little easier not to go wildly to the wrong date. All right. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so that's it for 8.54. Yikes. So 8.55. Oh, I did not want to do that. There we go. Display modal and prediction set summary. Sorry, model and prediction set summary on their list views. So this is just changing the titles that you see in these list views to be something a little nicer than it used to be. I believe it showed the file set type and then model, for example, in this case, because it's a model set. But now we show this more useful summary. Limit file graph panel vertical size. Okay. So let's go to an analysis set. Something with a nice set of files. Try this one. Okay, well, not a great example, but it'll do. So we've always been able to scroll horizontally if the graph got too wide. But if we had these really tall graphs, it was sort of a pain to scroll past. So now what we do is we adjust the vertical size of the graph based on the size of the file. Based on the size of the browser. And so now you can see it scrolling within its little panel here. And that way it's a little easier to get to places below it instead of having some really tall file graph. Of course, don't forget we do have this section directory, so you can just instantly jump to whatever part of the page you want. Okay. Display reference files on analysis sets. So analysis sets now show their files, reference files. I think it's pretty easy to find examples. Yeah, so here's 2 reference files. And if this works, yeah, so these reference files comes from this file. So we display them here, and we display them on the page itself. Sort report column arrays. What was that for? Analysis set again? Well, it's for everything, really. Yeah. Well, this is where the issue first came up. For the file content type, these can be pretty long lists of strings, and sometimes 2 file sets would have the same list but in a different order, and when you were just visually comparing them, it was hard to see if they were the same or not. But now since they're sorted, it is easier to see. Oh, here's a pretty good example. And because they're sorted alphabetically, it's a lot easier to compare them. This actually applies to most report columns that have lists of text, is that they're now sorted. Case insensitive sorting. Let's see, correct link to GitHub project board. That's under help. We've had this for a while where you can report issues you have with our IGVF data portal. But the link was redirecting, and we had to stop that redirection. So I did this little trick to do that, and so now it goes to the correct place. This GitHub project page. Upgrade to Tailwind CSS v4. So all the styling you see on the site is controlled by a UI package called Tailwind. We're using v3, and they did a major update to v4, and so that's what this is, updating that package to v4. At this stage, you won't see a lot of difference. In fact, you won't even see a little difference. I did what I could to make the change pretty much invisible, but it'll let us do more things in the future. Sort homepage charts, you probably already saw that. We now sort these charts by count. Okay, and then 8.56. Restore tagged protein display to CRISPR modification page. Have to go to the local data for this one. CRISPR modification page. Let's see where we got tagged proteins. Yeah, we got a few here. Let's look at one. And so now it shows tagged proteins. with this link. We used to show nothing, and now we show this, and it links to the gene page right there. Fixed prediction set file graph crash. Yeah, there was an actual crash. That was an oversight on my part on prediction set file graphs. Analysis sets and prediction sets can show file graphs. Okay, well, I don't know if this will show a graph. Oh, let's look at the production site. So prediction sets. Again, look at the files. Okay. Is there one with, oh, here's multiple. This might produce a graph. And it does. Yeah, and so what was happening is if you click any of these files to bring up the modal, it was crashing, a JavaScript crash. So now it doesn't. Yay. Remove workflow from analysis step pages. This is for an overall change that's sort of in progress right now. But if you have a workflow, we used to show it. Now we do not show it because that property is going away. Probably pretty soon. Report cells render based on data. Yeah, so this is sort of a internal change. I had initially based. Okay, let me start over. All these cells display different types of data, and I was using the schemas of the search type to decide how to display these. Well, it turns out doing things that way was not very reliable, because sometimes the schemas are a little ambiguous about what type each thing is. And so this change is to ignore, for this page, to ignore the schema, and instead it just looks at the data and says, well, that looks like a path, so I'll make it a link. That looks like a list of texts, so I'll sort them and just display them as is, and that kind of thing. We still have a few custom renderers, like for specific properties we might do something a little fancier, but for anything that's not custom, that's how this works now. Alright, so those are all the changes for June 2025, and yeah, we're already starting on things for July, and so we'll talk about those at the end of July.